bear with me. I hope that you won't cut me off at 3 minutes or 5 minutes. But first of all, I've got a paper in it, and I have got a few documents which date back a few years. But first of all, Mr. Mayor, can I say, I'm delighted, obviously my wife is here, she didn't have much opportunity, she had to come here. But can I also say I'm delighted to see Connor Burns here, and I appreciate, I met Connor a few days ago when he was shopping in Sainsbury's, and we had a long chat. But Connor Burns, I'm really delighted to see you, and all our friends in the gallery, and the Mayoress as well, and of course Elaine up there as well. Mr. Mayor, this is, I answered the Deputy Mayor's question. It was Julie Ann Hill, when came on a number of escort duties with me. She was a very lovely girl, and I had a lovely number of ladies. In fact, my favourite was June Griffiths. She came on a number of sessions with me, visits, and Pam Harris. But Pam Harris, it's all quite funny because when we used to drop her off, I said, "Do you want me to come in for coffee?" She said, "Not likely." And she dropped off into the house. I do not understand that. And then, of course, a bit later on, I met my lovely young lady, Jackie, as I walked up the stairs with Roger, the chauffeur. I've got to say this because many of you have heard it. And I said to my show, I said, "She's gorgeous." And she said, "Oh, come on in." Like that. And then I was handed a mug for a cup of tea. But anyway, yeah, we did split up once or twice, but Jackie soon come back, obviously. Mr. Mayor, can I say this is a wonderful honour that's been presented to me today, and I thank Councillor Anne Ray from the bottom of my heart. All the comments she made, and not only here, but she's made that at the area forum. It's extremely touching. It's been a hard, well, the last 12 months have been very hard in Muscliffe with the workload, and I also thank Ben for his kind words. In fact, interesting, I won't go into the details of what happened in the Labour Party, but one of the areas I got into trouble, and Ben's right, is Pat Callaway set up the All Bournemouth all-party group, Conservatives, Liberals and Labour, but I was told I wasn't allowed to go along because it's been run by the Tories. It wasn't, there's Liberals there as well. Talk about the Bournemouth issues. And I put my foot down and I said, I'm going. And then I was told to resign from the Ratepayers Association because I was told then, not Ben, because he's always been a supporter, that it's run by the Tories. I said it was pathetic, and that's where Anne referred to my 1975 election address, and I stood by that. Anyway, that's now. I'm hoping that Councillor Jim was here tonight. He did say he was hoping to come along, but Councillor Jim Courtney and Sheila McQueen have been brilliant in the Muscliffe ward in the time I worked with them, and Anne's touched on Eric and others as well. It's been a real team effort. Can I also now thank my chairman, David Kelsey. He's been absolutely a brilliant chairman, and he praises me, but I praise him because he's a stickler. He'd be very lenient on many of the deputations. I mean, last night we had another 7-hour session. Oh, it was hard going, but and I congratulate Carol because she made a brilliant deputation, and she read out comments from Mark and Cheryl, who couldn't attend, but but that's what it's all about, sticking on to planning issues. Can I also thank John Beasley? He became my second chairman. I'm not sure when David stepped in. David stepped in, I think, just before John, didn't he, for a couple of months. Then he found it was too much, and of course he passed over to John. But John Beasley was been absolutely brilliant, and he was a stickler to stick to the agenda. I learnt a lot. They say they learnt a lot, but I learnt a lot from them as well. And of course, I should have mentioned the first chairman I worked with was Ken Mantock. He was brilliant, and it was a sad day when he lost his seat. That's why I always say to people, forget party labels. When you go out to vote, look at the candidate. If they're a good, hard-working councillor, vote for them. And that's what I do, and so does Jackie. Anyway, mine, no. return it to Councillor John as leader, who over many years has given me much support and help on ward issues, and none more so the ongoing issues of fruit meal, which you'll be very pleased to know that. I've got a question on that a bit later on. Councillor Michael Filer, brilliant man, and Lawrence Williams. They're the two cabinet members I've really been involved heavily with, and I know Michael said he's going to miss all my emails. He's made reference to that and the horrendous road traffic problems we've had in Castlereagh, hoping we're going to come to an end, but it's been a nightmare. But Michael's been very helpful. Every time I send him an email, he gets back, refers it to the officers, regardless. He might, I don't know, but he deals with it, and I am very grateful. And Lawrence, especially as well, I'm really grateful with Councillor John, because we got that beautiful plaque restored back onto the seafront of the official opening of over 100 years ago of the Undercliff Drive, and it's a wonderful plaque, and many of you, when you go down, I know you've probably looked at it, but it's back within inches of where it was before, so I'm so delighted there. And of course they're now restoring the lamp columns down there and the heads, and they've repaired that seat that Lawrence, as you saw from those photographs today. So I'm delighted on that, and I'm going to spend many happy hours down there with my wife, walking up and down, just checking to make sure everything's okay. And of course, through Mark, and I got to mention Mark because he's been a brilliant chairman to me on the panel, and it has been suggested I might apply to be a community member on the panel, so I've got to do that, and I know you will support that. Absolutely. Thank you very much. So I won't perhaps go away completely, but a community member, and I know we're dealing with the Boston Pier and Piles issue. Mark had all of the background papers and Lawrence on that, because it's something that's got to be resolved. Now I have to refer to all my good friends in Democratic Services, from Jill, Karen, Tom, Claire, the whole lot. I mean, what an inspiring team there. If this council can learn from other departments, other departments, absolutely gorgeous girls, and the guys, of course. They can learn a lot from Democratic Services, and you know the way they approach members, and always helpful. They could probably done already 8 hours, and they're still there at 5 or 6 o'clock. And thank you, Jill, for that beautiful cake. And one of the engineers has sent me a photograph of it with David, and as you know, I thank. So that was brilliant, but a wonderful team. I have to thank obviously all the staff in planning services, Steve Davis, Andrew Inglis, and all of the team, especially with Beryl on the planning board. I'm going to miss Beryl. I hope she's going to miss me. But when you get back, I'll be listening, and I might come along occasionally, because obviously if the manse and the church come back, the manse will be coming back. I'd like to be knowing what's going on with that. It's taken years and years of fighting, and of course Elaine was heavily involved with me clearing the undergrowth in the manse before the Wessex Trust accepted their responsibility. So for that, Elaine, and you know all about it, but it has been bought, the church. But the officers are watching results there, because you know what's going to happen with the church, and then we'll wait for the manse to come back as well. And I have to mention again Steve Davis and Wessex Water. Stuart Lewis has been brilliant, because it's taken us over 6 years to get the planning application through an appeal through now last year, when Dorset and Christchurch and Herne Parish objected to the Bailey Bridge from the purification works out to get the tankers out of our area. And this council in 2009 supported me a motion, Roger seconded that motion, about the problems of tankers going through the roads. Now that build is going to be built. The disappointment is, because of the delay, they're going to make a start, but it's going to be spring next year, because by the time they get all of the ground sorted out, it's going to be winter. So, but it's going to happen. So, and I know I've told Stuart that any problems he's got to come to Anne. So I'm just giving you another little.
What, get in first,
yeah. Oh, you'll get back. There's no right. My disappointment still has to be around Fruitmill and Haygates. We all know that. And I know John's done what he can. There's a limitation what you can do, because Haygates is public knowledge, so I can say it. They wanted 600,000 for the mill. They won't drop it. And we've tried to get a trust going. It's been difficult. I mean, it retains all its milling equipment. It's very sad because it would make a lovely cafeteria, some offices on the top. But, you know, it's still lying there, and I'm hoping eventually, and I have got a question to John a bit later on, and I don't expect poor John can really give me much hope, but you never know, because I got the ice rink, didn't I? And finally, I'm getting near the end now, I have to mention our schools. Epiphany. Now, in 2000, I did a letter to all the residents, dated 1988, there it is there, all about the campaign on the school. Although it took 10 years, because in those days there was no 106 agreements, and so developers didn't have to make contracts, but they had the land available, 8 acres, but it's up to the local authority to buy it. So the time was running short up to 1986, and if we didn't buy it, that land was reverted for housing. But through the late John Ironmonger, the Conservative Chairman of Policy Resources, supported my request for an interest-free loan to be given to the Diocese Council, so they could buy the land. The stumbling blocks is they had to only give half the amount of land, 4 acres, and the rest of the land then it was agreed would go for development. So the school is there, much smaller site than we wanted, but at least it was achieved. And then, of course, a bit later on, in 1980, in 1997, we ended up with our beautiful Muscliffe School, and that was a long campaign, and that was objections also from local primary schools. They said it wasn't needed, And I said, I was hoping Jim would be here, because Jim, Jim's house was right by the school where he was born. And eventually the council, because it was run down and everything, acquired that house, and it was demolished to allow the expansion of the school into the 2-form entry. But Jim was very supportive, but I kept that. I was going to give that to Jim tonight. Anyway, so I'm getting near the end. You'll be very pleased to know. Now, I must mention this. I put it down because I've been clearing out sacks of paperwork. I've done 7 bags, and Karen knows, she spoke to me, they're going to pick up some of the bags on Friday, then the following Friday as well. But I'm being very careful what I dispose of. But in my file, when I was mayor, I found all the, and Connor would be very interested here, because with the miners' home, Cllr Ron, it was under threat, and John Butterfield came in and supported me with the unions, and it was called the Social Welfare Organisation, to have that, to save that the home for all the reasons here. But John Butterfield met Tim Egger, I think it was at the time, to take this forward, and the funds and the home was secured. And so I am very indebted. This is something of interest to perhaps what we've done through the History Museum, but that's all the correspondence and everything. But John Butterfield made a fantastic job on that. And I was invited to go to Tower Colliery in Wales to meet the organisations. I'll show that in the parlour. And there I am with my driver, Roger, at the time, after going down into the mines, right down. We went down on the conveyor belt all the way down, spent some time down there, and come back. So we did come back anyway. And that's getting near the final. And I just show you these documents, but I do keep everything. In 1981, and we'll never have to go through it again, it just shows how big mistakes are when you close schools. These were documents when they were looking at Winter Boys, Beaufort and Kingsley. And one of the schools had to go. And this went on for months and months, all the arguments for and against. It set school against school. Awful it was. And these are them, so I always kept these as a reminder of the sad days. And of course we lost Beaufort. Beaufort was the chosen school. It shouldn't have gone because we know the problems in the Southbourne area. No one knows better than yourself than the Southbourne councillors. That should have been kept. None of the schools should have gone. They had the figures wrong. They talked about birth rates and everything. So the officers, bless them, got it all wrong. So I kept all them. And I think that's about it. Went to school, reports, yeah. Mr. Mayor, that is it. I could go on and on and on. I know we want to get back to the council meeting, but to all my friends here, and I'm sorry if my esteemed chaplain, I mean, great, because he was our solicitor at the time when we went through the IMAX problems. I won't go into those details now. But Stephen, you've been a great ward councillor, and as you all have. And I have to wish you, most of you, not all of you, the best in coming election. And you know, you've all been great friends, and I mean great friends. And my best friend is at the back. And of course, Sue has been absolutely staggering as well, helping, and John, our small independent group. But I'm hoping we've always been reasonably constructive, and listening to your comments, I have been, and like I said, I really am grateful to you, Anne, for the hard work. If anyone deserves an award, it's Anne, because of all her charity work and the hundreds of thousands of pounds that she's raised in this town for the British Legion. Come on, Anne. You work damn hard. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Cllr Ron, for that very short response. Thank you. I knew